Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Property Experts Show by Ben Richards, myself, and Jack Jiggins of XP Property and various other businesses. Thanks for tuning in. This is your opportunity to learn from multi-award-winning business owners and property developers about the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs of business and life as an entrepreneurial property developer in the UK. So welcome for those that are new listening into this. And thanks for tuning in again for those that are regulars. We thank you very much. And today's fun fact agenda is the 5th of April, 2024 today, if you're tuning in on the podcast. And these are the things that we're going to be running through and delving into. So we've had our draft site branding in for our St Andrew's Court in Thame. And we're going to give you the power to choose your favourite. Whether or not we actually go forward with your choice or not is kind of down to Jack and I. We may disregard any ones that we don't like, but at least you have the opportunity to tell us what you think is the best out of the three that we're going to be showing you later on. Jack's going to be talking about how effectively we've bought 55 assets in the last 5 years, and how he does that, and how you can buy more deals with some of the gems that Jack's going to talk through. We're going to be talking about some progress that has been made at the Old Maltings in Abingdon, and Jack's going to be running through a little bit about how we manage calendars around our various multiple businesses, and I have lots of issues with this, so it'll be interesting to see how I should be doing it from Jack. We're going to be talking about the XP boardroom. There are some final spaces available on that, so we're going to be sharing what it's all about and how it will benefit you as a property developer and a business owner. And then we're going to be talking about a bit of it wasn't a surprise because we applied for it, but a rebate that we got from the HMRC today. And we're going to be talking about how we got that and what we did to get that. So stay tuned. Friday is completion day. Did we exchange? Did we complete on the things that we expected to? Find out later. Jack's going to be talking about the Central Suites portfolio builder. Is almost ready to close that. So I was just going live on Instagram. I forgot to click the button. There we go. So yeah, find out all about the portfolio builder that Jack's been working on with Rob and Central Suites. And then we would love you to join us on our site tour day at the end of this month. We're going to be talking through all of the fine details for that and how you can get involved and come and see effectively what are we talking? Probably best part of £20 million worth of GDV being delivered across 3 sites. So do stay tuned to find out more information about that. And as always, we are here to answer any question that you may have. Nobody has yet answered a question that we cannot answer. So we challenge you to be creative down in the chat box and try to stump us on a question that we cannot answer. So let's jump in. Jack, anything you wanted to say before I dive into this? Oh, you're on mute. Classic.
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say. Good. Cool. So St Andrew's Court is effectively going to be a 20 flat unit conversion of a former office suite. We are looking to then get some extra houses in the car park, and we are retaining some commercial property on site. Now, we are halfway through our build process. We started in February, believe it or not, and we are already plastering and installing sanitary ware and kitchen. So it's going super fast, and we expect to be on the market in June this year. So we've instructed Oliver James of Property Branding to help us create our sales and marketing material. That all starts really with some site branding. So actually, what are we going to be taking forward as our brand for our brochures, for our micro website, for any wayfinding or signage or sales particulars on site, and this is where we're at. So over to you guys in the comments. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, you're missing out, so tune in to this episode over on YouTube to see what I'm talking about. For those that can see it on YouTube, we've got 3 options: A, B, C, and D. I'll talk you through some of these and show you actually the full document suite of documents that Oliver presented to us, which is this. So this is the type of document that Oliver from Property Branding will send us. St Andrew's Court, talking us through some of the concepts. So concept one is all about these blues, a little bit more contemporary, I would say, but based off of kind of this lovely image of St. Andrew and all of the blues in the background behind him and the angular lines. And we've got a logo here, which is sort of, I guess, an S with some A's. That's creativity for you. A straight away from Oscar. Thank you. I haven't even got on to B and C properly, so easily pleased. These are the types of colors. We've got this azure blue, Parisian blue, and white. We've got option B, which is the sort of sagey green color, a little bit more regal, I would say. Not sure what the cross is and what that means. We're yet to jump on a call with Oliver for him to explain his kind of thought process behind these, but I think it looks pretty cool. I like the sage green type color. It is quite regal. When you've got a name like St. Andrew's Court, you kind of want to show that regal element. And then the final option is option C, which is this one, a little bit more pastel-y. The sort of S and the A in the logo. The font is quite sort of premium type font. Don't know what your thoughts are, Jack. Is a bit more, I'd say maybe.
Yeah, I feel this one, the correct term for this one is very castle-y.
Very castle-y. Okay, nice. Yeah. Hence the imagery that Ollie sort of showed us. So those are the three options. Let us know what your favorite is down below.
And do you want to go back to the three option slides so people can see that?
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening, take a screenshot of us when this slide comes up, and then you can sort of think about it and look at it in your spare time before the end of the sessions, that you can pick A, B, or C, and we will contact everyone that got it right when we pick.
They got it right. Yeah. Hopefully come back in a month's time when we've got a brochure, full brochure and sales particulars and a micro website and stuff sorted out. But I mean, Jack, which is your favorite straight off the bat?
Yeah, I'll actually say there is no right or wrong answer, but what we're obviously angling for is if you come on our site day, which we're going to tell you about at the end of the session, you'll get a feel for the site and sort of see what it looks like. Personally, my favorite is the middle one, so B. Mm-hmm. I feel that I like A because it's creative, it's contemporary, but I feel that we've got there's a lot of heritage value to this site and the town. But then having said that, the Old Maltings is probably more of a heritage building because it's an Old Maltings building from the brewery days of 250 years ago. So maybe we go more contemporary on St. Andrews and then maybe stay a little bit more sort of traditional with option B. But I would say that looking at the clientele, which is probably the more important person from a marketing perspective, we always talk about the avatar. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're selling, whatever is going to be consumed, think about your avatar. And people in Thame do, wear Hunter's Wellingtons around town. They do wear tweed jackets. They do wear gilets. Most of them anyway. Maybe not Oscar. He's probably more in gym gear. Little shout out for Oscar there, who lives in Thame, by the way, and voted for A. But I think it's about understanding the avatar. And I do think B is a cool, classy, timeless sort of traditional signage that would go really well with the site.
Yeah, nice. I think what we'll do, Ben? Similar thought process to you. I was sort of swaying and sort of pushing towards A because I think it's the XP brand colors as well, and it's sort of a bit more contemporary, and we're aiming at first time buyers and sort of young professionals, I guess, with the sort of stock. So but I understand when you're in Thame for all those reasons that Jack just said, that central one is far more regal and maybe more in fitting with the area. So I don't know. Yeah, we'd love to know in the comments below what you think.
Yeah.
And we'll probably set this up on our social media as well as a post and a poll, because I do think it would be good to crowdsource feedback on this.
Good idea. Yeah, I'll just touch on actually while we're there talking about a location specific and judging a location. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the Waitrose effect, whereby if you're choosing an investment area for property or you're understanding your clientele in a particular area, sometimes it's just best to look at the retail that is there, because the retail is there because they've spent probably thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds working out where they want to open that outlet. To give you an example of that, in Henley-on-Thames, you'll find Mountain Warehouse, you'll find the high-end restaurants like Coat, you will find a Waitrose, and that Waitrose effect is a quick way to judge the clientele in that town. Whereas if you went, for example, Croydon High Street, where we also have some assets, it's a very different clientele. You've got
Pound stretcher.
you've got the pound stretcher. You've got all the Barclays is shutting down. It's a changing, moving environment. Yeah,
pawn shops, betting shops. Yeah, cool, perfect. All right, good. Well, let us know what you think down below. So, Jack, over to you to understand how you've bought so many deals over the last 5 years. What are the tips and tricks?
Yeah, cool. So we've talked about this quite a lot. So it's difficult to give you, like a few minutes on how to acquire more deals in 2024 without, I could talk about this for hours. And we have a process in place, and that's the most important thing, having your own internal process so that you're not wasting your time. And I always say the most important thing when finding opportunities is valuing your own time. Don't get distracted. Don't go off beaten track. And valuing your own time. And the reason that this came into my head as an idea to put on the agenda today is because we in Central Suites specifically are looking for one more flip at the moment. We're oversubscribed with investors wanting to work with us, and we don't have that flip that we need to fill with that pipeline. We've got already 2 flips that one's potentially due to exchange day. The other is probably about 2 months off. But we've got the appetite to do another project. And we've been passively sort of looking and receiving some deals and, not a lot of works. But then I got a phone call today from someone I know that knows that we can perform. And he said, look, you've got a 48-hour window to come bid and view on our site. It's at a big discount. Do you want to do it? And I ran the numbers within seconds. I know on our draft appraisal, the site works. And I went back and said, we'll take it subject to a viewing. And I suppose the reason that I wanted to bring this up today is one thing that I think is really key to think about when it comes to acquiring sites is if you go on www.rightmove.co.uk, you're going to be in the same shoes as everyone else that's trying to buy, and you're going to be in that competitive space. But a question to maybe ask yourself is the locations that you're in and the agents that are in those locations, how are you going to become the front of their mind when they get that opportunity? They're more few and far between, and you can't necessarily build a business on that front. But it was purely because we were at the front of the agent's mind. It was actually via an introduction, and the agent, the really long and short, the property that's on the market is on the market for £650,000. They had an agreed sale at £460,000, but that fell through, and the agent doesn't want to put it back on at the price it was agreed, because he'll probably have 150 viewings to do over 1 week and have all of that aggro of trying to find who's a proceedable buyer. So what he thought to himself, which is fair enough, who can I get that's quick, that will do this and can take the same contract at 460? So I know where we're getting it at. We've already run the numbers. The GDV is actually like 925, 950. It's an existing building refurbishment. So it doesn't take long to analyze that scheme is going to work for us. To which I immediately went back within probably 20 minutes of taking it away, reviewing it, looking at it on, some mapping software on Google Earth, running it through our calculator, and just went back straight there and then said, yes, this works for us. Let's take it to the next stage. If you had another email from an agent where they've email blasted everyone on their database and it's a brand new property that's just gone on the market, I hope you can analyze that out of those 2 deals, one of them should be occupying all of your time, which is the one where you've got an exclusive lead and spending that time on that. So again, your time is the most important thing. But to sort of take it a layer above that, think to yourself, what is your strategy to get to be at the front of the agent's mind? Because that's all you need to do to get those opportunities. And how we've done it in this particular scenario is gone back to people with feedback really promptly. If it doesn't work, tell them that and tell them the reasons, because then they're going to adapt the next deal that comes to you to make sure that it is within your parameter. Speak to them, call them up on the phone and build that rapport. Also, have your packs, your track records all ready, so that when you're communicating with them and they're looking at your signature and they're looking at the attachments, you do come across as professional, because that's kind of half the hassle for an agent, is not only can I sell this, It's, is the buyer proceedable? So if you're squashing all of those qualms every time and you consistently build that track record, news is going to get around, and they're going to see you're buying more. And it doesn't have to start with how many stuff have you bought? How good does that make you look? It's all about building that relationship with the agent, and drop in, we did buy this site over there, or we're actively looking, or whatever it may be. But the mindset that I want you guys to think of if you are in the acquiring space in your business is, how do I become front of mind when those opportunities arise? Because I can guarantee, out of every single estate agent in your area, one of them has got a good deal, but you just don't know about it yet. And it's a lot of hard work and time, which I've touched on before, to find that deal and prize them for that. But if they're thinking of you, then it comes a lot easier and becomes a lot more inbound rather than outbound work. And that's pretty much it. Anything you want to add on that, Ben?
No. I think this is your bag.
You'll be excited to see the. I will obviously share the deal as and when it comes up and refer to this episode. But it's a cute little flip refurbishment in a suburbial town in Oxfordshire. Can't reveal too much because the interweb might dive in there and be more front of mind than me. But yeah, it's a nice little deal.
Nice, very good. Cool. So for those that have been following our progress, this is a site in Abingdon, which is 10 minutes south of Oxford. We got planning approval as soon as we bought it to convert the office into 16 flats. We since then updated and enhanced the planning scheme to get 20 flats. And we have now got a package together to submit to get up to 23 units. So the 20 flats plus one additional flat and 2 townhouses, which you can see in this CGI. So this CGI is the courtyard side where the car park is. You can see the 2 new Muse houses on this right-hand side with an external bin store. And then we are converting all of this undercroft section. So in the left-hand image, you can see this undercroft, which is just open parking currently. We got planning approval for 2 flats in this undercroft originally. And we are now pushing for an additional unit within the undercroft, which formally was approved as the bin store. So as part of this full application, what we're doing is creating that external bin store, moving it outside to free up the internal space to actually convert it to another flat. So huge amounts of value by doing that. And this is about to be submitted for full planning approval. So tune in, I guess, 3-4 months down the line to see if we have made progress on that and whether or not we got the approval. But the other key thing is that on the left-hand side of the image, you can see the site set up from the contractors. So this is new. They've been setting that up over the last couple of weeks, which means things are now, enabling works are happening, preliminaries are being spent, and the site is being mobilized to actually put it back together as 20 flats. So really exciting stuff. If anyone's got any questions on the Old Maltings, then do let us know, or stay tuned to the end where we'll be reviewing the site tour that we've got coming up and talking you through the details of that, which includes a site visit to this site. So yeah, stay tuned for that. James Green's got some comments based on your literally had first-hand experience of this with local agent. Only a few weeks ago, deal came direct from the agent before going live on the usual channels. Cool. There you go. Jack. Nice. Jack knows his shit.
looks like James knows his shit as well.
Cheers, Stuart, and well done, James, as well. Yeah. Also, we did have some other comments on Instagram. We had Sarah, who's an interior designer that I met last night at the St Albans Property Network. She prefers B as well. The
in with the interior designer,
the regal green, setting the tones. Yeah, very good. Cool. Managing your calendar with multiple businesses. I fail at this.
Yeah, so I'm a massive believer that every single thing that I do goes into my calendar. It was my grandma's wedding anniversary yesterday, and that was in my calendar to call her yesterday evening, because everything that I do goes into my calendar. And that's how I manage my days. I go to bed. I kind of sometimes can't even remember what I've got going on the next day, and I go into my calendar and it tells me the full picture of what I'm doing that day. Sometimes I do look a couple of days in advance. If you're a Gmail lover, you can actually put a slither of your day calendar on the right hand side of your screen, but that's a little jack hack. But today I wanted to talk about coding and coloring because it's massively useful to managing your diary. So the first step is to try and put everything in your calendar, whether that's driving to a site or to a meeting, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's going out for lunch with someone, whether that's going on a meeting. Always put that in your calendar. Also put the logistics in your calendar. So for example, getting there, parking up. I like doing that because then I know exactly what time I need to leave. And it sort of does all that brain power thinking for me. So for an example, if I need to go to a site in Abingdon, I know it takes me roughly an hour to get there, park up, walk to somewhere. So I need to allow an hour either side of that meeting so that you're not having to push things back. And also you can book in calls while you're driving or while you're doing something like traveling on the train, or you could book in a task that you could be doing that time. So point number one, to be more organized, use your calendar. You can put up routinely things to go in there that you have every week, and that's super useful because then you don't have to keep on putting those in there. But what I wanted to get onto today is, so Ben alluded at the very opening of this call, we run multiple businesses. So for any new listeners out there, we run so Ben runs Aura Architecture, which is an architectural practice. We collectively run XP Property. We collectively run XP Surveys. I run Central Suites with my brother, and we are also a shareholder in a social portfolio. Now, what I've started to do is to color code my calendar according to the relevant business, so that I know from a mindset perspective and a preparation perspective, if I've got a call coming up, what business it's relative to. A lot of people go, how do you manage and keep that all, how do you manage running all those businesses in your head? Quite frankly, I don't. I rely on tech to do the hard part, the heavy lifting, because it's got, our cloud is an endless terabyte of memory, but my brain is very limited, very, very limited. So the more you rely on tech and get used to it and help you, the more efficient and effective you're going to manage and get out of the day. And that's a really key sort of tip. And equally to that, I also color things red, which are not to be missed. I also color things light red if they're XP Surveys based, dark blue if they're XP Property, because that's the same color branding, blue if they're potentially a task, green if they're a Paro, and then I think I color them orange if they're Central Suites. And then any task is a different color, so I can move that around the calendar. So whatever works for you, you could do work and personal, you could do work, personal, and fitness. But the way my brain works, I like seeing the different colors and the different layouts. But sort of a little top tip there is, if you can get used to calendar, put in other logistical things around. Like even my weekends are dialed down to like the half hour. Even if Sundays, like do some work around the house, put a shelf up, it's still in my calendar. And it just makes life a lot more easier because you don't have to memorize anything. In actual fact, all you've got to do is to remember to look at your calendar.
Nice. I actually do like that time blocking thing, and it becomes a useful to-do list as well as your calendar. Sometimes once I think of something that I think, oh, I need to remember to do that, I will shove it into my calendar for like a Thursday evening at 9 o'clock when I know Laura's asleep, and I can crack on with that in the evening, and it's front of mind basically. I sort of alluded at the start of this point that I'm rubbish at this. I'm not necessarily rubbish. I pretty much do what Jack says. My travel time is color coded in orange, and things that happen every week, like this 5 till 6 slot, is red in my calendars, and various other things. But where I've struggled, and I would absolutely love if a listener knows the answer to this, because my Aura business is based on Microsoft and SharePoint. I use Outlook for Aura. Because of all of our XP businesses are on Google, and I have, Google Calendar, they just don't talk. So I basically have two calendars that I'm having to manage, and they kind of talk to each other, but not fully. I can't get my Outlook calendar to show all of my Google stuff and allow all the people with permission rights to my Outlook calendar to make changes and tweaks and things like that. So they, it may not be possible for Microsoft to talk to Google, and it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't fully interchangeable. But if anyone has any solutions for that, I would absolutely love you.
I might actually know how to fix that.
Okay, cool. Let's chat offline. Cool.
What I was going to say last before we close on this one, if anyone is a big believer of the book Eat That Frog or the 3-task rule or whatever it may be about it down more specifically talking about managing tasks, the 3-task rule is if you have a to-do list with 20 things on it, it overwhelms you and you procrastinate and you don't charge through that list as best you can. So the 3-task rule is you do the 3 tasks in front of you. There's also another rule, which I think's called something productive days, where you basically only pick 3 things that you have to get done that day, but they have to be the 3 most important things. And I think where I like the calendar most is I can't put my full to-do list on my calendar, but I put the really urgent tasks in there. And you will see compounding value for that, because sometimes when you do a to-do list, whether it's freehand or on your phone on notes, it's difficult to prioritize the best things. So I always have like 2 or 5 really, really important things that need doing that day. And if they're in my calendar, they either get done or they get pushed to the next day so that they get done the next day. And that's another top tip.
Nice. Love it. Just before we move on to the next one, Stuart says 100%. If you've just joined, let us know what your favorite site branding is between A, B, and C for us in Andrews Court. They're up on the screen now. And let us know in the comments below. Cool. And on that note, if you're listening in on the podcast, thank you very much. We are across Spotify, Apple, and all the best platforms out there. I would love you to rate us on Spotify. You can't leave reviews, but you can rate us. There's a button, I think, in the About section where you can rate us 5 stars if you see fit. And also on Apple, we don't have any reviews on Apple for the podcast. So if you are an Apple podcast listener and you tune into us regularly, please do leave a review. It will help us kind of, I guess, help the algorithm to kind of push it forward to more people. And as always, if you could share it with one person, just one person, we would very much appreciate that as well. So we're gaining quite a bit of traction now. I think we've had the best part of 4,500 listens across the podcast now. And we did actually see that on propertytraders.co.uk, they have done a best property podcast for 2022-2024 list. And we are 11th on that list, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So
didn't even know that myself.
Christina and I stumbled upon it yesterday, which is great. We made the cut. Cool. Number 5. So XP Boardroom's been running for the best part of probably 4 years now, since lockdown time. And we've rejuvenated the group with a number of really great developers and people that want to take their business to the next levels. And we have a couple of spaces left in that. So if you want to grow your business, if you're looking to scale your development and business from a couple of single lets and some HMOs, want to get more into development, this is the place for you. You'll be amongst some really great people. It's something that we do every month for the best part of sort of 4 hours together on a call, sharing ideas, looking at goals and achievements, and running through a deal clinic just to get lots of eyes and viewpoints, knowledge and experience on a site that you're looking at to see if it's viable and if you've missed anything and how you can add value, etc. So yeah, really excited with this new group of people. We've had 2 months now with the new crew, and things are shaping up really nicely, and we're seeing lots of amazing input from the wider group, and lots of progression from those people that have joined to get to the next level. So yeah, comment boardroom below, or send us an email and we can send further details if you're interested. Marlow, SDLT Rebate, over to you.
So to some degree, this policy is a little bit redundant, because the government decided to actually remove multiple dwellings relief allowance for big assets that you're buying, like blocks of apartments or whatever it may be. So multiple dwellings relief, which is now being part abolished, and you have to go down the rule of commercial purchase, which I believe is 6 units plus. We're not tax advisors, so if you're doing an acquisition, seek that advice from a stamp duty specialist. But the sort of key news today is when we bought our site in Marlow, we actually completed on the site in December, and before we bought the site, we made a very conscious effort to start the works on the planning approved scheme, which was 8 apartments, so that we would benefit from the multiple dwellings relief allowance. And in short, the reason it was a rebate and not a reduced stamp duty fee is because our solicitor didn't have enough comfort that we were allowed to do that under multiple dwellings relief. After several, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because when you're seeking stamp duty advice, all your solicitor normally does is go on the government stamp duty calculator, work out roughly what they believe you're buying and in what entity you're buying, and give you an estimate on the stamp duty. Our solicitor wasn't comfortable doing multiple dwellings relief because we're not qualified accountants, tax advisors, but we know that this is a policy because we've done it before on our sites. Now, if you're buying a site from here on out and it's over 6 units and you believe that you could benefit from commercial, you're stuck in this difficult place where you can't convince your solicitor to do it because you're not a tax advisor or not a stamp duty specialist. So to get that advice, sometimes you have to pay someone to give you that advice, or you have to pay a stamp duty specialist who charge on the saving. So for an example, let's say before we bought Marlow, we got a stamp duty specialist to come in and represent us, and they would charge 20% of the saving. The saving, which you can see in front of you, or for the listeners, £11,000 is the saving we were going for multiple dwellings relief. They would take 20% of that as their fee to give you the advice and be that representative. Now, instead of that, what we did is we paid the full stamp duty, put forward a case, and if anyone would like a stamp duty rebate template, I'm sure we can share that. So comment that in the section below. We pulled together the evidence of why we believe we need a rebate. We submitted it to HMRC and we got the rebate in today. So materially, what that looks like is we've saved having to pay a consultant, put in for the claim as ourselves, paid it up front, cash flowed that, and then got the rebate back. So quite a convoluted way, but we saved paying a consultant and essentially just had to cash flow that £11,000. So if we completed, it was literally like, I can remember, like 3 days before Christmas. And we're obviously now entering April. It took 3 months on this specific deal to get that rebate back, but it worked. So anyone out there that is buying something and unsure if they've overpaid for the stamp duty, send in a rebate. We also did this on a building that we bought in South Oxfordshire in a place called Warborough. We bought the site. It was a very quick purchase. We bought it cash with our investor. And then we ended up putting in a rebate because there was literally daylight coming through the roof. There was about 4 tiles within one area, coincidentally within the bathroom. So it was a natural shower room if it rained. But we put in a claim to get a rebate on that. And again, it worked. We got a rebate on that. I think that one was around something like £7,000. Smaller purchase, smaller rebate, but we ended up paying less stamp duty. So if anyone's bought something and they think they've overpaid, you can try it yourself. Anyone that's a consultant based on a fee for giving advice, of course, they're going to want you to use them. If it's a simple solution that you think that you can do yourself, don't be afraid to do it. That was our little win for today, it wasn't a surprise, as Ben said at the beginning, because we put it forward, but it was confirmation that we were right, and we've now got money in the bank, which is nice.
Nice bit of cash flow. Very good. Friday completion day. Did you complete?
Yeah, so we always find that Friday is the day that everyone wants to complete and push papers to get stuff done. So the property that you can see if you're watching is on the left is a flip that Central Suites is doing in Caversham, and the property on the right is our double award-winning, triple nominee deal. Hoping for maybe a third award on that in the next couple of months, which is St Helens Mill in Abingdon. And we were due to complete on a refinance in St Helens Mill, and we were due to exchange on our flip in Caversham. And basically, we haven't. So lawyers, I don't know what the lawyers are doing. So that will be a very, what we want to do is get the completions done and go and have a celebratory half pint of Rebellion beer, but at the end of the day, neither have gone. So it'll be a dulcet tone on Tuesday morning, I'm sure, because they're not going to go on Monday.
Nice. Anything else you want to say?
No, not in particular. We've shared in many episodes before about pushing along your lawyers to make sure that they can get to the point of exchange or completion. I've got a tip actually for Hemdean Road, which is the one that we're Central Suites are buying as a flip. Today, when I knew that we weren't going to exchange, I just sent an email to the agent, the estate agent, saying, hi, Mr. Estate Agent, just so you know, our solicitor is in funds, has been told to exchange. There is nothing that is being held up at our end. Can you either help or just confirm that the hold up is not our end? And I think that's always imperative to do, because it's very unlikely at the point you're sending your lawyer the money to exchange that it's actually going to fall out of bed. But I always just want to cover all bases and make sure that that's transparent and in writing, because our lawyer has been instructed to exchange, is in funds, and at the end of the day, there's not actually more that we could do or our solicitor can do. It's down to the seller, and then you don't want the seller in a few weeks' time going, I'm not allowing access for that survey because you took too long to exchange, when I can go, actually, we were ready first. So just a tip there, if you don't get something over the line, it's not your fault. Make sure you communicate that with the relative stakeholders.
Nice. I just wanted to touch on St Helens Mill actually quickly for wasting best part of 6 months with Yorkshire Building Society trying to get this refinanced. Our new lender, Kent Reliant, has actually picked this up really quickly,
really
and we've been super impressed with their solicitors, JMW. So yeah, if you're looking for a decent commercial sort of block product, Kent Reliance have offered us a pretty decent one, and the whole process has been pretty slick. I don't know if that's because we are completely deluded by Yorkshire Building Society and anything but 6 months is better than nothing. But I feel like this has been a quick process in terms of a refinance a block of 14 flats. So yeah, fair play to Kent Reliant.
Well, actually, the majority of our portfolios, plural, including Central Suites and XP, if we were to do a number of loans, not necessarily quantum, is with Kent Reliant. I think we've got something like 8 Kent Reliant mortgages now in Central Suites.
Mm-hmm.
They are good. They do what they say they're going to do, and it's they're fairly competitive.
Yeah, I've had good experience with them in the past, not just this one. So yeah, fair play to them. Cool.
Kent Reliable, maybe.
Kent Reliable. Portfolio builder.
Yeah, so we brought this up a few weeks ago, where Central Suites launched the Portfolio Builder. We feel that we've been spending over 6 years building a process, a structure, a product, a brand, a website that's got interlinked to local source businesses, and it's a lot of work for how many houses we own. We feel like we've almost built a nationwide, almost like a nationwide lettings business, but we're only operating in the houses that we own. And we've recently had success. When I say recently, about 4 years ago, with an investor that we worked from a development space, said, I want you to go and build me a portfolio. So that's what we started to do, and it's gone well. So the Portfolio Builder was built on the grounds that if there's anyone out there looking to build an investment portfolio, doesn't have the time and expertise, we can essentially do everything for you, and either on a structure where we co-own or you completely own the asset. So we become almost a consultant in that perspective. And the feedback's been really good. We've got, I think, about 4 partners that are at the very late stages of discussing details and locations. And fundamentally, we can only do so many. So it's been really good uptake. We're not going to take on more than we can actually deliver. We still are open for inquiries if there's any last few, but it's closing for, I think we'll probably be this time next month. We'll not be taking on any more. To put it in perspective for how many partners, we've got 1 existing partner. We're looking to open up to 3 new ones. So that will transpire as about 6 houses across 2024. And we're not going to open it up to many more. Once we're fully subscribed, we're fully subscribed. But it's been good, really well received. It's nice to see people appreciate our product. And our argument sometimes, for even in XP or Central Suites, is we believe that whatever fee or percentage, of the deal we're taking, we can normally outweigh that in the value that we're bringing, or the costs that we're saving, or the enhancements that we're making. So it's been a fun process onboarding people and getting potential partners excited about a portfolio and a location, because we just see it as a bit like Monopoly now, Ben and I think just wherever the site works will go. But it's good to see business, predominantly business people, get excited about a location and be researching it and getting excited about the product.
Nice. Very good. So you'd have seen on some of our social media, and I mentioned it earlier, about our upcoming site tour day. So XP Property, Jack, some of the team will be on various sites on Friday, the 26th of April. We're actually going to be showing people around, first, the site in West Street in Marlow, which is an 8-unit conversion, grade 2 listed building at the front, former dance studio at the rear. GDV is about £3 million on that scheme. So we're going to be starting there at 12 o'clock. We're going to be then traveling over to St Andrew's Court in Thame. That's going to be, the progress of that is 9 units that are currently being worked on. The kitchens and sanitary ware should have been installed by the 26th of April. So you'll get to see a project, in the sort of middle of the construction process. Marlow is stripped out and ready to commence the conversion, but just an empty shell. Whereas Thame, you'll actually get to see a project which is half completed. And we can talk you through the various complications around Class MA and permitted development rights and timeframes and phasing on that project. Ultimately, it'll become a 20-unit, 20-flat scheme with hopefully 2 to 4 houses in the car park. And then finally, we will head over to the Old Maltings around about 3:30, 4 o'clock to have a look around a beautiful building, which was a former brewery, and will be converted to 20 flats with a couple of Muse houses in the car park. 21 flats and a couple of Muse houses in the car park, which I spoke about earlier. So that again has been stripped out fully. That's, I guess, a bit more interesting than Marlow in terms of the old structure that we can now see and we've exposed, and some of the trusses that were installed, and restoration works that's gone on over the last sort of, like Jack said, it's sort of 250 years old. So there's been a lot of work that's happened over time, and you get to see kind of that historic fabric now that we've stripped it all out. So 3 sites, the best part of 15 to 20 million pounds worth of gross development value across them. And if you're interested in coming along, drop us an email or go to bit.ly/XP hyphen, is that a hyphen? That's a hyphen. XP hyphen site tour hyphen 2024, or just message Jack and I, and we can send the details over to you. But at the moment, I think we've got about 20 people on the list. Whether you're an investor looking for opportunities, a developer and just want to have a nose around, an architect and want to understand kind of what we've done with the planning, we'd love to have a chat with you. So yeah, do let us know if you're interested.
Yeah, I will just say feedback that we've had from our site tours before is, one, it's just super informal. We answer any question, whether you want to ask what we paid for it, how, whatever that may be. We just tell it as it is. We tell you the numbers on the spreadsheet. We walk you around through the process, but we will walk through how we found it, how we secured it, how we funded it, how we're delivering the construction, how we took it through planning, and then what our plans are at the end of the project. So yeah, anyone out there that wants to hear any of that, come along. We're going to be touring each of the buildings and allowing you guys to ask any questions that you want to know. And it will be good to see. The more the merrier. And what we haven't mentioned is it's completely free. So we don't charge for these. You just turn up, we have a chat and walk around the building and the site and show you what we've been up to.
Nice. Cool. And that is a wrap for this week. If there are any questions that you have, please do drop them below. We want to see the options for A, B, and C of our site branding. We're going to be crowdsourcing replies on that to see which one's the winner. Probably on LinkedIn is the best place for that. Todd, you said not sure the link works. Just tried it from the last episode. I'll shoot you a message on LinkedIn. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Todd. We'll check the link and get that moving forward. Any other dates planned? Yes, for later in the year, but certainly kind of there won't be anything, I would say, in the next 4 or 5 months after April, but we'll probably do one, I don't know, September, October time, I would imagine. And by then, progress obviously will be finished on St Andrew's Court and making really good ground on the Old Maltings and Marlow. But thanks for tuning in. If you're not subscribed on the podcast or YouTube, please do click the subscribe button, and see you all next week.
Enjoy your weekends.